As a slime aficionado, when I found out an anime called Puniru is a Cute Slime was coming out, I began Googling immediately, found scanlations of the original manga, and read a whole bunch of it. I remember when Slime Girl was barely even a concept and what a huge deal Melona and Queensblade was, so having a whole anime about a Slime Girl is mind-blowing, and now that it's here, the reception is divisive. One person called it Rieselman for Zoomers, and I hate that I can't even argue against that. Mostly, anyway. See, Puniru is a Cute Slime is ostensibly a romantic comedy about a boy named Kotaro Kawaii who made a slime as a kid and it came to life in the form of a cute penguin he drew. Skip ahead years later, and Kotaro is now in his second year of junior high, and the slime now insists on taking the form of a young girl and sleeping in the same bed as him. Much to his own dismay, as he sees her as a weird toy thing, is embarrassed by her cuteness, and has a crush on Kirara, an older girl at school. The first episode features the good old-fashioned accidentally fall on top of a girl in a compromising position cliché, as well as a scene involving Puniru growing massive breasts and Kotaro's friends fondling them, which has made people confused and uncomfortable. Puniru's design reads very young, and has folks thinking this is going to be some risque lolicon anime. It's not. This is a children's gag anime. It's just using elements of lewd anime as part of the joke. You see, the original manga is published in CoroCoro Comics, a manga magazine mostly aimed at a young audience. CoroCoro covers things like Doraemon, Kirby, Beyblade. They recently started a Bakeru manga, the Splatoon manga, and even a Taiko no Tatsujin manga that's done by the same guy doing Puniru, to say nothing about the amount of toy and game ads. They even poke fun at this within Puniru itself, since much of the story is about the desire to grow up and put away childish things. It's just that Japanese children's manga is allowed to get a smidge fan servicey. They're a lot less weird about breasts in Japan than they are here in North America. But more than that is that people aren't quite getting the joke. When Kotaro falls on top of Puniru, he's actually stuck inside her body. She just turned into a slime pit. And of course, the boob-grabbing joke involves Puniru chopping her tits off so the boys can hold them. The difference is that the manga is much more short, and the result is that the scenes play out much faster and thus sillier, while the anime instead hams up these scenes by dragging them out a bit longer to seem more steamy than they actually are, which does make them funnier sometimes too, though I will absolutely say the boob joke scene was botched, not just because they dragged it out, that was fine, but rather some minor changes to it. The first is what the friends say. In the manga, it's a nervous, can we touch them? While in the anime, it comes off much skeevier, and they say something like they need to be inspected, though this may just be a translation error. The other difference that I think kills the joke is that the boobs just land on a desk, whereas in the manga, she literally just hands them her tits, which to me is the joke. Also, the manga definitely has them more awkward and confused as they hold them. So is this a bad adaptation? Heck no, I think it's a great adaptation. They just bungled some jokes slightly. See, the manga chapters are very short, and I was afraid they were going to turn this into a 5 to 10 minute anime. Not that that's a bad thing, except that waiting a week for just 5 minutes of Puniru? I don't know if I can. So what they did was actually merge multiple chapters together and expand them slightly. Episode 1 is actually chapters 1, 2, and 4, one after another. Though I do realize that they failed to show that Chapter 4 is a different day from 1 and 2. Also, the manga does not explain Puniru's creation for like a long while, so putting a little bit of that at the beginning of the first episode really helps out. Also, I gotta call out the transformation sequence. I was expecting they'd do one. The similarities between Puniru and 80s magical girls is pretty clear. But would she get a real transformation sequence that actually shows her turning into something? Just some generic flash or poof, or something overly long and drawn out? As the sequence progressed, it was clear it was overly long and drawn out. And then when Puniru's transformation sequence had her turning not into her new form, but a coin, and then that went into a gacha machine, which instead of a gacha capsule popping out, it's Puniru holding a gacha capsule. No, this is a parody of an overly flashy, long, drawn-out transformation sequence. Anyway, there is also a bit more going on here than what initially appears. We're getting a little spoilery as I introduce the other characters and some of the direction the show is heading. Not too much, though. At the end of the first episode, we find out that the cool playboy upperclassman guy is actually obsessed with children's battle manga and frequently joins Kirara when she goes to help out at orphanages so he can kick kids' asses at not Beyblade and not Yu-Gi-Oh! Kirara, meanwhile, comes off as saintly with how much she likes to help out kids. But that's actually because she has an overactive motherhood instinct to the point of complete insanity. Then there's the villain, the mad scientist science teacher who thinks that the world mocks his brilliance. But really, everyone thinks he's great, he just needs to pay his membership fees. He builds Jelly, a slime-based android who looks a good bit older than Puniru, and actually does make things kind of lewd, as she is convinced that mating with Kotaro will prove her superiority over all other androids. The manga does play out a bit like an Urusei Yatsura for kids, but one of the central gimmicks is that Puniru transforms into a new form almost every issue, so there's a dash of Minky Momo in there too. Joke's on you, Puniru is significantly more truck resistant. But there is one more important story element. See, Kotaro actually loves cute things. In fact, he's completely obsessed with a cartoon mouse called Cutie-chan, which is basically Hello Kitty. It's just that when he was a kid, he was made fun of because he preferred cute things, and thus some girl toys over boy toys. Puniru's cute penguin form was something that he drew because of his love of cute things. But after those events, it kinda messed him up. Puniru knows deep down inside he likes cute things and is just embarrassed by it, which is why he pushes them and her away, and part of her quest is to get him to open up and stop lying to himself. The other part of her quest, of course, is to become the cutest thing in the world and open up Puniru Land, a theme park based entirely around her cuteness. I stumbled across a first impression of the show on a blog called Beneath the Tangles, and the author of that quick write-up said something so perfect, I have to quote it.
Okay, let me be straight. I don't find cuteness all that interesting, so I may not be the target audience for a show like this. That said, I thought Puniru was utterly horrifying. She stalks Kotaro at school and home, follows him through the pipes, barges into his friends while impersonating popular idols, and dissolves into ooze. She's like a concept R.L. Stine of Goosebumps fame would have come up with, a living reminder of the embarrassing kitty stuff you did when you were little, now following you around.
You nailed it, Gaharet. Puniru is supposed to be partly horrifying. She's a slime monster. It's a counterbalance. See, a shape-shifting girl who is utterly obsessed with you is a lot of dudes' fantasies. She can turn into anyone or anything? Nice. So it's important that there be a creep factor to her. Some reason why Kotaro isn't just enthusiastically on board with just telling her to turn into Kirara and just being done with it. But no, her needy, selfish, gelatinous nature does make her a proper nuisance. But not evil, of course. She's no villain, just bad at being human. I hadn't expected it, but from the looks of things, this anime is going to fry a lot of brains. Much of its setup sounds like a lewd fanservice fest. Heck, one of the few pre-anime videos on this series was one of those AI manga summaries with a title like Lonely Nerd Creates Slime Girlfriend or some crap, and that is not what this series is at all. But no, it's a gag anime aimed at a younger audience, but it still has some very mild fan service, and some people just seem to be grappling with that. Right now, it's mostly people uncomfortable with the blend of colorful, childish visuals and a boob joke or two. But I'm wondering how many people will hop on the Puniru train expecting a much jigglier anime and being disappointed by its lighthearted, silly nature. At the same time, I'm wondering if this anime can really take off in Japan. We've got like one proper Puniru figure in production, but will there be more? Will we get a Puniru game out of this? I mean, I guess we have a card game coming? Can we get a second season? Well, whatever, I'm in it for the long haul. See ya!